All right, let's dive right into a topic that's on everyone's mind this time of year, Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's more than just turkey and stuffing, right?
Exactly. Our listeners want to know the real deal, the history, the traditions, all the good stuff.
And I think they'll be surprised by some of what we found digging through Encyclopedia Britannica.
Oh, yeah. Get ready for some myth busting. Did you know Thanksgiving wasn't always a national holiday?
And it almost got moved for shopping reasons.
Wait, what? Okay, we're definitely getting to that. But first, let's rewind back to the beginning.
Back to the image everyone has in their head. The 1621 feast, the Pilgrims, the
Yeah,
Wampanoag.
the classic Thanksgiving story.
Yeah.
But was it really like how we picture it?
Well, that event did happen, but it's often portrayed in this very romanticized way.
Romanticized how? Like, what was it actually like?
Imagine this. It's not a fancy dinner. More like smoky venison, everyone outside, maybe sitting on the ground, or some barrels.
Whoa, really? Not the picture-perfect table we see in those paintings.
Nope. This was a chaotic celebration. Colonists and Wampanoag playing games, tons of food like wildfowl, fish, stews, even beer.
Wow, that sounds a lot more lively than what we're usually taught. But you said this wasn't the only Thanksgiving back then.
Right. Colonists held Thanksgivings all the time. Good harvest, Thanksgiving, big victory, Thanksgiving. It was a tradition from Europe.
So the 1621 feast was important, but not the sole origin of Thanksgiving as we know it.
Exactly.
Okay, so then how did it become the national holiday we have today? I'm guessing it wasn't simple.
You guessed right. See, the Continental Congress declared a Thanksgiving, even tied it to the Constitution.
Oh, so it was official right from the start.
Kinda. After 1798, things get messy. Different states, different political groups, they all had issues with it.
Wait, what kind of issues could they have with Thanksgiving?
Well, some saw it as a religious thing and didn't want the government involved. Others, especially in the South, weren't keen on a New England tradition.
So Thanksgiving tied to the Constitution, meant for unity, but causing all this division. It seems a bit ironic, right?
Totally. And it gets even more ironic. Some folks used Thanksgiving for, like, political speeches and parades. Can you imagine?
Whoa, so Thanksgiving became a platform for political stuff.
Yeah.
Not very unifying. So how did it become the holiday we know today?
Well, this is where Sarah Jessica Hale comes in. She was a magazine editor, and she really pushed for a national Thanksgiving.
Oh, so she was like the original Thanksgiving advocate.
Yeah, especially during the Civil War. She believed it could unite a divided nation.
That's pretty powerful. So was Lincoln the one who finally made it official?
You got it.
Yeah.
In 1863, wanting to bring the country together, Lincoln made Thanksgiving a national holiday.
So Thanksgiving didn't just become a holiday, it was like a strategic move for national unity.
Exactly. It's wild to think about the context, right? But that's just the start of the story. Thanksgiving kept evolving after that. It really puts Thanksgiving in perspective when you think about it being used to heal the nation after the Civil War.
Yeah, I mean, imagine the pressure. This brand new national holiday carrying the weight of all those hopes for unity.
And it's amazing how Thanksgiving continued to change along with America itself. You know, early on, it was really a religious thing.
Right, but America's always been a melting pot, welcoming people from all over. Did Thanksgiving adapt to that?
Absolutely. Over time, it became more secular, more inclusive. It wasn't just about one specific religion anymore.
So even back then, people were already debating what Thanksgiving should be.
Oh, yeah, there were definitely some growing pains. Some folks felt it was losing its original meaning, becoming too secularized.
But ultimately, it had to change to reflect the changing face of America, right?
Exactly. It became more about shared values, like gratitude, community, that kind of thing.
So in a way, Thanksgiving had to evolve to stay relevant.
I think that's a great way to put it. And as America was changing, so were families. People moved further away for jobs, opportunities.
Making those Thanksgiving reunions even more special.
Exactly. And with those reunions came new traditions. Think about it, Thanksgiving football.
Oh, yeah. Huddled around the radio, listening to the big game. That's a classic Thanksgiving image.
It added a whole new dimension to the holiday. And then there's those incredible Thanksgiving parades.
Don't even get me started on the Macy's parade. Those giant balloons, marching bands. It's a spectacle, a far cry from those early feasts.
Right. It really shows how Thanksgiving became more than just a meal. It's about entertainment, too.
It makes you wonder, did those additions, the football, the parades, change how people viewed Thanksgiving?
It's tough to say for sure, but it definitely brought new layers of meaning to it.
Okay, so from small religious gatherings to a national holiday with parades and football, What does Thanksgiving even symbolize today?
That's a great question. It's this mix of things, right? It's about intercultural peace, celebrating America's opportunities for everyone.
And it's still about family, that sense of coming together no matter our differences.
Absolutely. And let's not forget that core idea of gratitude, taking time to appreciate what we have.
Which makes you think about that complicated history between the colonists and Native Americans.
Right. Thanksgiving prompts us to think about those relationships, the good and the bad.
It's a reminder that history is complex and our understanding of it should keep evolving.
I completely agree. Now, speaking of Thanksgiving evolving, our Canadian neighbors celebrated too.
Yeah, but they do it on a different day, right? Like in October.
Second Monday in October, to be
Yeah.
exact. Why the different date? It's kind of a mystery.
Maybe it's about when the harvests happen up there. Or maybe it's tied to some Canadian historical event.
Who knows? It's definitely something to explore further. But it shows how even similar traditions can have different origins.
And get this, the first recorded Canadian Thanksgiving was in 1578. That's even before the Plymouth
It
Feast.
goes to show the history of Thanksgiving goes way beyond the U.S. It's a much bigger story.
We've covered so much, the early feasts, the politics, even Canadian Thanksgiving.
It's been quite the journey. But before we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on what it all means for you, our listener.
Wow, we've really gone from those early kind of rough Thanksgivings to like national unity and Canadian mysteries.
It's amazing, right, how it's stayed relevant for so long, like centuries. It's constantly changing, but always comes back to that thankfulness.
It's like that family recipe you always make. Maybe you tweak it a little, add something new, but it's still that same familiar dish.
I like that. And thinking about those family recipes, it makes you realize how different everyone's Thanksgiving can be, even in America.
Oh, totally. Some people are like super into the history, dressing up like pilgrims and stuff.
While others are just throwing a football around in the backyard.
And then there's those families, let's be honest, who spend the whole day arguing about politics or like which football team is better.
That's definitely part of it too. But no matter what, it's about finding that common ground, right? That feeling of togetherness.
Even with all the craziness. So, to everyone listening, as we wrap up this Thanksgiving deep dive, we want to leave you with something to think about.
What does Thanksgiving really mean to you? Like, how do your own traditions fit into everything we've talked about?
Maybe you're all about those historical traditions. Or maybe it's more about family and those special things you do every year.
Or maybe you've even come up with your own new traditions, combining the old and the new.
Because Thanksgiving isn't just a date on the calendar, right? It reflects who we are, our history, all of it.
It's a story we all share, but we each get to tell it in our own way.
So this Thanksgiving, whether you're debating football teams, arguing about politics, or just enjoying a delicious meal, take a second to think about everything that makes this holiday so special.
And remember, it's a chance to connect, to reflect, and to be grateful for everything we have. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone!